Alrighty, this is essay question 2 for Unit 3. I have some of the questions written up here, that way I don't have to squint at the computer. And I have some graphs drawn because it took me forever to draw these things, and I really do not want to redraw these because they always come out terrible. But so, to describe the cardiac cycle in stages, we have 6 different stages, which I drew out right here. And then this is going to be repeating number 1 again. And so if I can get somewhere that doesn't interfere with the lighting, that'd be great, but I probably will be interfering with the lighting. And so for number 1, we're going to have the contraction. Number 2, we are going to have the ejection. Number 3, we're going to have relaxation. Number 4 is going to be the rapid inflow, or inflow, I think. Number 5 and number 6, both are, the textbook says they're not as important, but they are still important. And I also am really bad at pronouncing some of these things, so bear with me. But number 5, if I remember correctly, is like diastasis. And then number 6 is atrial systole. And so, let me put the cap over on this one, drop it. And so what these basically mean, if I can walk over here with it. Okay. So for contraction, it's pretty straightforward. Is this marker going bad? It's pretty straightforward. Basically, this right when the mitral valve closes and the ventricular pressure just gets stronger or higher than the atrial pressure. So ventricular pressure is greater than atrial pressure, and then the mitral valve closes. That's also where we get our first excuse me. It's where we get our first noise, the lub. It's going to be right here. Lub. So this is where we get our first sound. Mitral valve closes. Now ejection is going to be right when the ventricular pressure is above aortic pressure. So now ventricular pressure is above aortic pressure. And that's when the semilunar valve opens. So semilunar valve opens. And now all the blood is getting ejected out of the ventricle. So as we see, volume just drops like crazy because all of the blood is being pushed out. Then we have a little plateau like the first one with contraction, and this is called relaxation. And in this phase, basically the aortic valve closes. So the valve closes. This is where we also get our second sound. This is going to be the dub sound. And if I can put it here somewhere, dub. 4 for inflow, as the name suggests, basically this is just going to be rapid inflow of blood. So I didn't draw it the best right here, but you're going to have a very steep increase in blood volume during this phase. The mitral valve opens for this one. Mitral valve opens, blood flows in. For 5 and 6, the book didn't say too much, but basically from what I got is that these are just that the ventricles are increasing in blood. And then for atrial systole, basically the ventricles are being topped off. Book said that this one isn't, let me finish. Book said that this one isn't really important during rest, but whenever we exercise and we're under high amounts of, I guess, pressure, like cardiac pressure, well, I guess I couldn't say that because this is cardiac pressure, but when we are using our heart more than just at rest, then it's actually important. So those are the 6 stages. We talk about how we can see blood volume versus pressure, and how when pressure increases and valves open, then the pressure will start to decrease because volume just shoots out. And then as there's not a whole lot of pressure, but the valves are closed, we have a rapid increase in volume. We talked about the opening and closing of valves and how the closing of them are what give us the lub and dub sounds, and those are the heart sounds themselves. And explain the pressure volume curves. So I'm assuming that means the graphs right here, which I just explained as I'm writing it all, but we'll just go through it again. We have ventricular pressure is underneath atrial pressure. As soon as a valve closes, we get the lub sound, and this is going to be the mitral valve. It'll close, and then ventricular pressure is going to shoot up because now all of this blood volume is there, and it's being constant right there. Or it's not going anywhere because the valve is closed. The walls are going to be closing in a little bit on it, increasing the pressure, and as soon as the pressure goes above the aortic pressure, that valve is now going to close, and we are going to get another valve that opens up. That valve will open, the semilunar valve. That is going to eject all of the blood out of the ventricle, and then the valve will close on 3, which is where we get the second sound, the dub sound. And as that valve closes, we have a constant in pressure again, a plateau, just as we did during the isovolumetric contraction versus relaxation. Once that valve is closed, we're gonna have a opening of the mitral valve again. Blood is going to rush in. There's going to be an inflow, rapid inflow of blood. And then for 5 and 6, diastasis and atrial systole, not much changes. As you can see, the ventricular pressure and the atrial pressure are going to be around the same, sort of staying side by side. And then blood volume is just going to steadily increase up until after atrial systole. Then the ventricular pressure is going to shoot back up because we're going to have a valve that closes, and then the entire process repeats itself. So yeah, that's the cardiac cycle. Those are the 6 different stages. There's the change in pressure, the changes in volume, the opening and closing of valves, and the sounds that the heart makes. If you have murmurs or if you have damages in the actual valve themselves, you can have a sh sound. So if you have a problem with some of these, you could get a lub sh dub, or a lub dub sh, or a sh lub dub. And then just the pressure versus volume curves of the cycles side by side. We can see how some of these things line up. When there's a plateau in the volume, that either means a very rapid increase in pressure for the ventricular pressure or a very rapid decrease in it. Or as when the pressures are sort of the same, not changing a whole lot, we can see that there's a rapid increase in a lot of the blood volume. Another thing that I actually don't know if they asked for this. I was going to talk about part of the blood volume, but it doesn't ask for it. So there we are. That's essay question 2 for Unit 3.